Hey, I thought I'd do a video of me feeding my two female corn snakes that both gave me eggs this year. Really younger than I prefer, but I had them with males at the time, so that left them getting pregnant. This one was the first one to give me eggs. They're actually in the process of hatching now, and I'm pretty excited because they're the first eggs I ever hatched out. She's a pretty mint girl, great disposition. I have the males and females separated now. She eats like a truck, especially after she looked anorexic after she laid the eggs, and she picked right back up. I only gave her like one pinky. They're big enough to take fuzzies. I'm just getting rid of some of the pinkies that I had, but she's a very good girl, and yeah, that's the deal. So her clutch is currently in the process of hatching. I believe as of August 9th, they were about due to hatch. I actually drove from Maine to Washington State moving, and I did keep the heater on the eggs most of the time in the truck with an inverter, and it's August 13th now, so they're hatching about a week later than anticipated of the 60 days, which is fine. All learning curve. So what I do is I put the frozen feeders into a freezer Ziploc bag with a weight in the bottom of it, a big like 1 ounce egg sinker, and I put that bag into a container of hot water and just let them thaw out like that. So that way when they come out, they're fully thawed all the way through, and their body temperature's up. So I've noticed on, I don't know which ones, but out of the 4 of them, sometimes if the body temp isn't up, they're a little deterred to eat. But I throw it back in the bag and put it in some warmer water for a minute or so, and ready to go. So, you know, each individual personality, you get to know them, and it's pretty cool. Ooh. Sorry about that. She was a tad bit more finicky to grab that one, but interested, just not like snagging it up right away. I've never had a problem with having this one. I call creamsicle cream. Never had a problem with having her eat. So far, none of the babies are showing her coloration. It's showing the coloration. The father is either a ghost corn or a jungle corn. So I'm guessing that her trait, based on the fact that none of the babies are showing her coloration at this point, that her color is recessive. If it was dominant or co-dominant, then, or if it is, then some of the babies may come up with her color. But being they're both so young, they're only a few years old, but I didn't really bulk them up to get size on them. They only had 7 eggs apiece. Actually, the second one had 8, but one was a dud. So She is definitely not finicky. She's going for it. And the other female is a ghost corn. I got both of the ghost corns at the same time. They're probably siblings. I'm pretty positive. I'll show you the ghost corn now. I'll give Cream one more pinky anyway, if she's interested in it. And this is Frick. I named him Frick and Frack. Yeah, she's a good girl too. Sometimes they'll eat more aggressively. Actually, since I've gotten out to Tacoma, Washington, when I moved, I had a male ghost corn that I sold to a friend of mine that I worked with before I moved. He was interested in getting one of my babies, but since I was moving, I didn't know if they were going to hatch or what the situation was going to be, since it's all my first time. So I sold him that one, which he's very happy with. Very passive snake, good eater, but not all of them are excellent snakes. I always feed them in these shoe containers. I highly recommend it. That way they're not accustomed to eating in their enclosure. Their experience is they go in the shoe container, and chances are, most likely, they're going to be eating. And I've intentionally, like, even when they're like aggressively eating, I've put my hand in there in between feeds to see if they would strike, and they've never tried to bite at me. Which I'm very happy for. Actually, I wouldn't have a problem if they bit me. They're so small, but nonetheless, just to know that they're that passive. My intention is to do some kind of reptile shows or whatever, just to have them be ambassadors for snakes for people who don't really have an opportunity to see them. Out of the two corn snakes, fortunately, when I had, or I should say, ghost corns, when I got this one and the other one, I was told it was male, female, vice versa. That this one was a male, and I'm happy it turned out to be a female, just because I was definitely more fond of the pattern, coloration. Not to say an aggressive eater, but the other one was definitely a wee bit on the finicky side. This one, again, may be a little mild, but this is the, I believe, second feeding I've had for her since she laid her eggs. Maybe the third. I'll only give them one or two the first feeding out, and then the next one I'll bump them up. Occasionally they prefer a little motion will stimulate them to feed, but generally speaking, it's not that necessary. See, definitely interested in some motion. I don't know which one it is, but one of them is inclined to take it from tail first, which you'll hear people say, oh, they never do that, and blah, blah, blah. I've had a couple of snakes that were inclined, not to say every time, but definitely not opposed to taking it rear end first. I don't know if it's because they smell feces or where urine came out or whatever, but there was just something about the scent. They would do it that way, which doesn't necessarily bother me as long as I'm not trying to give them a larger feed item or bump them up, you know, to the next size. That concerns me a little bit when they take it that way. I had a black rat snake that pretty much every mouse I ever fed, I don't know if it ever took one that was not tail first. And she is actually looks like she's trying to take the thing from the dead center, which, you know, isn't ideal. And if she's able to manage that task, she would definitely be able to take a small mouse instead of a fuzzy. I have had them on one of the reptile shows I went to. I picked up rat pups or rat buzzies and hoppers, just to try to make sure that they're not going to be stuck on taking just mice, that they'll do both. And it was not a problem with them. So yeah, she's trying to take it in half. I don't like seeing that, but if she manages to do that, I'm glad I got it on video. It will definitely be the first snake that I've ever had that attempted it, not to mention did it, and it looks like she's going to nail it. Crazy girl. Well, granting the fact she does that, I'll make this the last one I keep on video. Knock out a couple other feeders I got for her. And honestly, they would probably take, I know Cream would take more than 4. I fed her the other 1 or 2 while Frick was eating. What a nut. Beautiful snake though. Have a peace lily in the house, a big peace lily. I had just put them in the lily to get some pictures, trying to get some diversity of them before videotaping this. Look at that nut. She's a nut. Yeah, like I said, I'm glad I'm videotaping this. I'll tell somebody and be like, yeah, okay. She will definitely need to adjust them jaws when she's done eating this one. She's got it. Yeah, so since I've gotten out here, the guy that I sold my one snake to, I gave him the snake setup that I had, under heat pad and everything, under tank pad, and I actually have not had them on heat since I got out here. I still have the heater in the incubator for the eggs, but I've not had these guys on heat at all. The temperature's been staying, averaging 75 or 70 degrees during the day, in the 70s, getting up to 80s. They're calling for 90s the next couple days, but dropping back down into the typically high 50s, so cools off at night nice. Let's try and video one more, see if she takes it a little more intelligently rather than center of body action. I hope she does. I don't want to see a repeat of that. Oh yeah, she's ready. Go ahead and do it. Come on. Thank you. Whoop. Sorry about that. Right from the head. She'll suck it down like a noodle now. Especially after that last one. One of the problems that I've noticed with the frozen thawed, and I don't know if this is the case if you just let them thaw out air temperature. I've always put them in a bag with hot water, just hot out of the tap, as hot as I can get the tap, fill up the container. Sometimes the stomach will get, I don't know if it's because it's so thin or what, but it'll actually get to where it'll kind of like want to burst. The one time I used hot water out of a coffee maker, and I think that was the case. Like, it just really weakened up the skin enough that it kind of made a mess there a few times, but they still ate them. Just rather not have that much of a mess with them. Short work of that one. We'll go for number 4. Call it good. Yeah, a little adjusting. Alright. Come on. There you go. One of the disadvantages to not feeding live is they really do lose that accuracy. You know, it's like a cat playing with a mouse before you kill it. They develop that skill set a little bit because their meal is served to them pretty much hand to mouth. They don't have to be so aggressive with it, so they fuss with it a little bit. She's a good girl. Alright. And then what I do with them typically after I feed them, I have no problem going right in there because I said they only strike at their food. I'll let them settle it down a little bit. I'll pick them right up, put them back in the cage, and typically I stick their face in the water dish. And much of the time, while they're in my hand, they'll sit there and just take a drink. They'll drink as much as they want to drink. And then I just set them down in their cage and they go about what they're doing. At least that way I know they got a drink. And, you know, yeah, they're definitely babied. They would not, I wouldn't say they wouldn't survive in the wild, but they would have to definitely break the babying that they've learned. So, there you go. Thanks for watching.